Going to be a review of resources and materials ideas for week 3, the Meaningful Mind Map. So I'm here on the modules page in Canvas. I'm going to give you a review of the things they're doing coming into class, your students, what you'll be doing in class, and what they'll do after class as the assignment or journal for this week as well. So this is just to give you a brief review, share the resources, give a few tips as you prepare to teach in week 3. So in the teaching notes is where you'll find the slides and the outline for this week. Lots of great material there, and I'll show you a few customizations that you can make to enhance those slides as well when we get to that. The assignment navigator is going to show us what they do before class. They've read chapter 2, which is a really critical chapter of the book. And there's a discussion they'll be responding to before they come to class. There's a meaningful mind map instructions that they should also print and bring to class. If they didn't print out the entire packet of handouts, there's an option here for them to download just the handout for that day. And again, after class, they're going to be submitting a mind map that they start in class. And in Journal 3 is where that is submitted. So let's dive into what the discussion is. So as they're preparing to come and learn, they've read chapter 2 and they've looked at this discussion post prompt. The word capture implies grasping or taking hold of something. So we're trying to ask them, what did they capture? What did they bring? What did they learn from chapter 2? And the prompt is, what did you capture that transforms the way you view life and or work? So read through your students' discussion posts. There could be something there that you use during that book club portion of class, and some things you could share, things you could ask further questions about as well. It's nice to bring in some of what they post about into the class time as well. So that's the prompt they come into class with. The handout that they're bringing to class is the step-by-step instructions to the main activity, the Meaningful Mind Map. And that's shown here on the screen. There's steps, there's questions, there's slides with some of this same information included in the slides. But this is something they could have for reference at their tables. And because the mind map is something that people take a little different time on, if they have this, then they can be working through it at their own pace while the class kind of moves through this experience. So it's nice to provide a little bit of opportunity for them to take it at their own pace. A lot of students may need to take additional time out of class to complete their map, and these instructions will help with that as well. So that's what that handout is and why it's important. It's really good if each table at least has one of these that they could refer to. A lot of students bring this. If you want to print out a few for each table or one for each table, that can work as well. So let's dive into the slides and the topic of the day. Let me get the right slides pulled up here. So here's the slides for week 3, the Meaningful Mind Map week. The reading of chapter 2. What does it mean to have a calling? There's a lot going on in this chapter. This chapter provides the philosophical, the theoretical foundation for the rest of the book. It introduces, right at the end of the chapter, all 7 of the heresies that are dealt with throughout the rest of the book. And it gives a really historical perspective from Adam and Eve, work being looked at as a curse, eating bread from the sweat of your face kind of an idea, and how that idea has gone through history, through many different places, and us ending up with, you know what, work was for our benefit. And that was kind of intended from the beginning, that the earth was cursed for thy sake. It wasn't Adam and Eve that were cursed. to have to work so that they could live. It's an interesting discussion to have with your students who've read the account in Genesis and other places of Adam and Eve, and to discuss that, and then also the history of how work has been viewed as a curse throughout history, how work has been viewed as meaningful throughout history, and where we want to be on that. Do we want to view work as something we dread, or do we want to view work as a calling, that opportunity to serve some meaningful cause? Go into those things. One adaptation that I've done is to bring the slide from week 2 and review that again. So the zookeeper's calling defined. This is covered in chapter 2. This definition is given in chapter 2. So bringing this back allows you to anchor to these key points. Your calling in life is rooted in your unique spiritual gifts. This introduces the theme in the book called passion. Your calling in life gives you sacred obligations to serve. This introduces the theme of purpose. And your calling in life is revealed rather than chosen. This is the idea of place, being guided to where God needs you to be. And there's a lot of discussion you can bring up with these, and then this composite definition. When you find your calling, you see where your spiritual gifts allow you and obligate you to serve others. So this slide, bringing it forward from the slides from week 2, could be really helpful. There's a lot of other ways to approach the discussion, maybe putting a timeline of work was viewed as a curse. Today, we're trying to view work as meaningful. What happened in between? What was this progression of work changing in how we view it? And have we really gotten to where we view work as meaningful? Or are we at times still viewing work as a curse, even in our day? So there's a lot of interesting things you can discuss. You also get in chapter 2 the introduction to the author's research on zookeepers. You get the field trip to the zoo where the leader of the group says, you see that person over there? That's the job you get when you don't go to college. Kind of the put down of what a zookeeper is. And it's interesting to discuss zookeepers being some of the happiest people in the workforce because of the passion, purpose, and place they feel in their work. So all good things that you can discuss from chapter 2. This discussion of chapter 2 will likely take a good half of the class, and then the mind map activity will take the other half of the class. So going back to the slides here and jumping into the mind map activity, there are a few slides that just give you examples of mind maps. This is a mind map about mind maps. So it allows you to introduce what goes into a mind map. It has these elements to it. You can talk about some of these arms and how they're put together. Talking about how you could symbolically or graphically represent certain things on your map as well. It's great when I see students who put in like a picture of something that's important to them in their maps as well. Some of the maps will come in a lot like this, where it's just text and they've mapped and kind of shown how things relate to each other. It's also a great way to introduce. So this map on creative intelligence, this map on being outdoors, really this is an idea map. The mind map could be more like this, connected from the beginning with a central idea being them, their name, and how does it branch out from there. It can also be just kind of you're putting things on the paper and then making connections later. And there's a couple examples of that in these later slides. This slide here really gives the why. Why is this a powerful activity? It gives here 6 reasons why it's an important activity and why it can be meaningful. There's 2 examples of students who submitted their maps. These are from Brianna's spring of 2023 class. Both were really just interesting maps. There's a lot of symbolism in this one, a lot of great paths that were identified, connections that were made. And here's another one that was more circular and branching out. So however your maps come in and however your students do them, it's important they know there's not a wrong way to do this. Another place I adapted here is I included a picture of my own map. I think it's important that they see you've done this as well. So if you can create your own map and show that and maybe explain one of your areas, that can be really meaningful as well. Then before jumping into the activity, I added this slide as just a quick reminder to me of, oh yeah, there was that energizer in the outline of doing the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 activity. It's really fun. Try it. It gets everybody's brain turned on. They're energized, and then they go into this deeply creative, kind of silent activity as they're writing on their maps. And as you dive in, the first prompts are here, and they go through these prompts and start to map out on the page. You can remind students before class in an announcement, hey, bring some colored pencils, crayons, markers, whatever you want to draw with, or you can bring some of those to class, some colored pencils or something like that. If they have just one pen, that's totally fine. It doesn't have to be very colorful, but it's kind of fun to add that to it. So going through the steps of the map, usually giving a few minutes for this section of okay, just start with these prompts and start writing on the page. Then adding additional prompts. Okay, these are additional things. Now add more to your page. It really shifts gears when you go into identifying themes. And that's where you would take, here's this, here are these things I've put on the page. I'm seeing a related piece here and here. I'm going to connect those and identify a theme there. And the experience of these 3 slides is probably 15 to 20 minute period of time. It can be done in a shorter time, but it usually takes a little bit of time for them to do. Then there's this important sharing part where they're going to share with each other. Here's something I put on my map and why I included it, and then having their group or another person they're sharing, or in threes, however you set that up, ask them if they see any connections. Really, a mind map is meant to be personally interpreted, but when someone else looks at it, they might see something and they could ask a question that prompts further discovery. So there's this idea of you're on a hunt to find hidden treasures in your life from your map. Then some final takeaways from the activity. There's listing your themes, adding descriptions, defining what that theme might mean. It's okay if you have a theme and you don't particularly like that theme and you don't want to have that theme. And it's also important to not pressure yourself to make a career decision based on these themes. It's giving us insight. It's helping us develop that identity awareness, which sets us up for making better decisions. There may or may not be a direct career connection that they make here. So those are the slides. That's an essence of the activity that you're going to do. So if they finish their map in class, that's great. A lot of people end up needing a little more time. So in Journal 3, what they're going to be asked to do is attach a picture of their map and include the following reflection. Reflect on at least 2 questions from the list below and indicate which question you're responding to. Submit both the picture and your reflections. This is a 10-point assignment, so they are getting, there's a rubric here, and you can look at that when you're grading as well. But here's the 5 questions. You want to see an answer to at least 2 of those and a picture of their map. And that is what they will be doing after. This entire activity is directly from the book called You Majored in What by Catherine Brooks. And these questions are her questions for reflection after doing your map. So we've really stayed true to what she intended it to be. And we're really excited for students to have this experience. Many students report at the end of the semester that this was the most meaningful thing for them. It allows a creativity of thinking, an opportunity to really engage your brain in a different way, and to think about life in a bigger picture than just my major, my career, and those linear thinking methods. So Hope you have fun with week 3. Reach out if you have questions, and we look forward to teaching with you.